Hello out there. It's hump day. We're on the air. Good morning, everybody. Anybody? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. There we are. There we go. Good morning. Welcome to another episode, another edition, another morning of the Daily Bitcoin Journey. The show is, what is this show about? Actionable and logical discussion for Bitcoiners and for future Bitcoiners. Good morning, YouTube, and good morning to zap.stream. I see some people over there already. Chat's hot. We got some, we got a lot of Trump talk this morning for some reason. I don't know why, but we'll go with it. Ninju, good morning. Aaron Haywood, trust the plan. Trust geriatric President Trump. Okay, lots of Trump talk this morning. I don't know why. Did I miss something? AC, Jason, Kev, Crypto Heathens over on Zap.stream. Good morning from Brazil. Welcome. What time of day is it in Brazil right now? That's the question. That is the question. Rick says, good morning, everyone. I smashed the like and I feel good. I feel good too this morning. It's hump day. We're on the downslope to the weekend. We got a big weekend in store. And Cole, good morning. Okay, well, today's show's titled, The Game Has Officially Changed. We got a lot to talk about. We got a couple different versions of this. The game has officially changed. 10, 11 a.m., p.m. I would guess it can't be p.m. It's not that east. It's got to be 10 a.m. right now. Is that right? I don't know. Anyways, good morning from Brazil. Sorry, I didn't put the comment up there. Daniel just zapped 420 sats over on the zap.stream. Hump day zap. There we go. And just like we say every week, every hump day, wishing everybody a happy hump day, and hopefully everybody gets a hump in. There you go, 10 a.m. We're correct. It's the East that's way far ahead of us. The Ireland, the Portugals, the Russias. Okay, anyways, let's get cracking here. We got a couple videos to watch today, but before we do, we got the metrics. We're going to do a couple daily block rewards. We're going to do some quick bits, some Bitcoin news, and then we're going to talk about a couple different things and watch 2 videos today. They're good ones. Different topics, same theme. It's going to be a good show today. First thing, right before I hopped on here today, I saw that What Bitcoin Did just released a video of Tour Demeinmeister. So I obviously haven't checked that out. It just came out 25 minutes ago. So what I would say is just stop watching this show and go watch Tour. No, for real though. I'm sure most people will see it, but Tour is one of the better voices and more interesting people to listen to in Bitcoin. We watched a video of him last week from 11 years ago, predicting pretty much exactly what's happening right now in the world of Bitcoin, 11 years ago. So he's still here. He's still kicking around, and he's on What Bitcoin Did today. New show. James Bond is in the house. Came back from work for a couple minutes. Good morning, mates of the realm. Cheers, my friend. Glad to have you. Glad to see you here today. Muslim Bitcoiner says, don't expect interest rates to fall anytime soon. Inflation going to keep kicking us. Hold on tight. Yeah, there's some rumors around Canada today that they're going to drop rates, but I don't see it. If they did, it'd be good for us, though. Okay, so let's get to some metrics, kick the show off here in style, and go from there. So we're currently block height. What are we? Currently block height 846,619. If you're transacting on the Bitcoin Layer 1 network this morning, you're paying about 30 sats per VByte, which I would say would be high. Unless you need to be moving Bitcoin right now, I would not be moving Bitcoin right now. Hasib says sats are facts. That is true. Bitcoin is simply information kept on a public ledger for everybody to see, for everybody to audit, including the government. Hey, Chris B is in the house. Good morning. I think he's usually a later watcher of the show, but we got Chris B live in the house this morning. So just watch the first 10 minutes of tour. Entertaining. Yes, he's a very informative fella. The metrics today, the state of the Bitcoin network. Price jumped up a little bit. Is this up to date, up to speed? What's happening with it? 70. Oh, no, we're at 71,000 now. This is inaccurate. 71,000. Good to see. Keep in mind that, even though it doesn't feel like much is happening in Bitcoin right now, holy, is there ever? Is there ever? Including the price, we're like what, 2,000 or 3,000 away from our all-time high? Pretty nuts. We might hit it today, honestly. There's just so much going on in the Bitcoin world, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Hasib says, can you mine sats? Yes. What do you mean? Can you mine sats? Mine Bitcoin. Hook up a BitX, $150, plug it in, maybe you'll hit the lottery. You can also link it to a pool though and earn some sats that way. Anyways, we're in the 71,000s. Things are happening. Lots is happening. 2023, 1 year ago, you could have got one Bitcoin for $25,762. And 4 years ago today, you could have purchased one Bitcoin for $9,646 US dollars. The Moscow time today, this is wrong. Let's get an accurate version here. 1408. And while we're at it, while we're cruising the internet here, let's take a look at the fee multiple, the gauge you can use to check your Bitcoin fees before you send any Bitcoin. And it is high. Fees are high right now. And for the last 30 days, which we don't really pay attention to, but the fees are at their highest. So keep in mind, if you don't need to be moving Bitcoin today, definitely don't be moving Bitcoin today. Price here in Canada today is 96,794 Canadian, Monopoly, Illusionary, Castro-backed bucks. Moose Jaw time today, $1 Canadian, 1 loonie will get you 1,034 sats. That is accurate. I did that this morning. If you have a toonie, that'll get you 2,068 sats. And as we know, that is the deal of a lifetime. Okay, metrics are done. Let's move on. We're moving at a good pace here. Let's check out a couple of daily block rewards here quickly. So the daily block reward is something we do every show when we remember to do it. Basically what it is if you want to ask a question, if you want to leave a comment, if you want to have something read on the show, the best way to do it is you can send a boost on Fountain. And I know for a fact, I don't shout them out enough, but I know that there's a lot of people who actually listen to the show on Fountain. So if you have a message to get across, if you want to promote your business, if you want to ask a question, simply send a boost over on Fountain app, and that'll be the daily block reward prioritized. But if we don't have any, then we go to the comments, and we got a good one today. And the computer's running hot, so hopefully they don't cut me off again for the third day in a row. Okay, so this comment is from Carla Brown. Carla has actually left some really good comments on the channel lately, so I wanted to give her a bit of a spotlight today. But this was on the video yesterday that I posted a clip called Leaving Your 9-to-5 Job. Yesterday's show, we talked about what things are going to look like in the future. Fucking internet. Let's give it a second here just to chill out a bit. Okay, so yesterday we talked about what things are going to look like, how you can prepare for that. We got a bit of a follow-up there. Did we freeze? James Bond said, Jor. Okay, so anyways, the comment here, hopefully you can hear me, hopefully you can see me. But Carla said, keep in mind that AI can help you start your own business. Spend some time thinking about some problems you would like to solve for yourself. Realize there are others who need the same problem solved. And as you get to work on the solutions for yourself, you will begin your side hustle that can become your business. You can find all the learning info you need for free. It is an amazing time. You have to both think and take action to make new things happen. Really good stuff there from Carla. So talking about how you can use AI, not to be worried about it, not to fight it or ignore it, but use AI to start your business. And you can start solving problems you need, which it's a really good rule of thumb, honestly. And it's one of the things that I use on this show every single day is that if I see something, if there's an issue that I see, or there's something that I need help with, there's probably a lot more people out there who are in the same boat. So it's a very good rule of thumb is just look internally and think about every day, what problems do you run into at work, at home? And is there a way that you can solve those somehow? And if yes, maybe start a business out of it. But we're going to put that on the back burner for now. We're going to be talking about that on today's show. But big shout out to Carla there for the comment. And then below that, some smart ass in the comments said, 19 Ronan 95 said, what if you don't have any problems? Then you're living pretty good if you don't have any problems in your life. Okay, and the second comment here that I wanted to discuss this morning was just one that came in about an hour ago. And somebody just commented, Victor Resto, you should take some time to research Caspa. It's proof of work and has solved the trilemma. I've heard of Caspa. I don't know if anybody in the chat has used Caspa or is mining Caspa. I actually went to a friend's house about 6 months ago now, probably. And I heard a lot of noise coming from the garage. So I was like, wait a second, are you mining Bitcoin here? And he's like, no, but I'm mining Caspa. And so this is how this happened. And I think this is how a lot of things within cryptocurrency happen. He's like, yeah, my friend, he made a bunch of money on this. He told me to buy some miners. So I'm mining it. I have no idea what it is, but he's made a lot of money off it. He's running his, he's got a lot of them running at his farm. And I'm like, oh my God, guy spent like $5,000 or $6,000 mining this coin called Caspa. And I'm pretty sure though, you could convert those miners into Bitcoin if you wanted to, but I'm not 100% sure on that. But anyways, I've heard of Caspa. I did a little bit of looking into it afterwards. And I was, let's just say I did not buy any Caspa and I did not sell any of my Bitcoin. Okay, so this is the second one today. JT Online says, thank you, brother, bringing all these good things. If possible, make one video on our Canadian Bitcoin spot ETFs. Which one is the best to buy, as there are so many companies right now? Okay, so I can't really tell you like the best one to be buying. I'm just going to make sure that I'm giving you the right info here, but I'll tell you the one that I have. It is called Purpose Bitcoin ETF. The ticker is BTCC. So that's a Canadian Bitcoin ETF, BTCC. That's the one that I hold. So I don't know if it's the best one, but it's the one I have. And that's the only thing I would feel comfortable enough to advise on. So if you do need help though, here's the thing. If you're in Canada, this is specifically for Canadians, but if you're somebody who is looking to move some of your old capital from your pension, from your RSPs, whatever that is, if you either want to move it into a Bitcoin ETF or actually cash some of it out and self-custody your Bitcoin, get in touch with me, because I work closely with a couple financial advisors and they've helped a few people from this community. Very easy to do, I think, for them, not for me. If I wanted to start doing that, looking at my investments, I wouldn't have a clue what to do with that, with the pension stuff. So there's a couple of financial advisors who are very Bitcoin friendly that I work alongside. So if you are somebody who wants to move some of your old capital from the old system into either a Bitcoin ETF or take self-custody of that Bitcoin, cash it out essentially, with minimizing fees and minimizing tax consequences, then let me know. Jason says that's the Fidelity product. I didn't know that, but I'm happy about that. I like that a lot. I missed a few comments here. Sorry. Aaron Haywood says, have you ever used OpenKite's OpenDime? Yes, I have. They're awesome. Really good for, I'm actually going to use one for a golf tournament this year. And they're a really good gift to give somebody for like a wedding gift, birthday gift, graduation, whatever. You give them this little, they look like this. So you just give it to them. They have to figure it out how to get the Bitcoin. But once they do, the Bitcoin is theirs. So I think it's just because I've given gifts before to people like my little brother. I gave him a gift, a new Bitcoin wallet. But the thing with that is I gave him the private key for it. So with that, I have the private key as well. So the one thing you could do there obviously is just restore it, move your Bitcoin to a different wallet, but that's going to cost you fees. So with this OpenDime, all you need to do is just load some Bitcoin on here, give it to somebody. They figured out how to get it off there, and the Bitcoin is theirs. You don't know their private key or any information on it. Jose, good morning. Daddy-O, one of my favorite names in the chat, Daddy-O. And Aaron Haywood says everybody should quit their job and drop out of the system. Well, Aaron, you're in luck today, my friend, because that's what we're talking about. A couple things over in Zap.stream. Daniel said, I love this interview with Tour. Just a sec here. Oh, this looks like a panel. Okay, this looks interesting. I'm going to bookmark this one. This is from Daniel over in Zap.stream. Let's see if I can bring it up here. So it's called Will AI Dream of Electric Bitcoin? And it looks like Nolan is there, a fellow Canadian. I don't know who the middle guy is. And then Tour on the right side. So if you want to grab this link, you can either just search that on YouTube, or you can go over to Zap.stream and grab the link from Daniel there. The coolest part about Zap.stream, other than the fact that you can send Bitcoin in real time without anybody's permission, is the fact that you can share links. And Craig zapped 420 sats as well. Stay humble and stack sats. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And Craig says, Caspa miner, better convert the coins to Bitcoin soon. Yeah. Agreed. Okay. So a couple quick bits here. We usually go through some Bitcoin news, but today we don't have a whole lot of time. So I'm calling this new segment Quick Bits. You're welcome. So a couple things. The Australian ETF launched Monday. I don't know how successful it was. I haven't really heard too much on it. It's crazy that Australia's like basically in a different day than us. I think that their ETF essentially launched Sunday night because they're 10 or 12 hours ahead of us. So that was pretty big news. I think the Australians, it launched. And then yesterday we found out that the Thailand SEC approved their first ever Bitcoin spot ETF. So we got Australia was launched, Thailand's was approved. We saw that actually, I'm going to bring this one up because this one is kind of noteworthy. Or is it? Maybe I didn't include it in here. Oh, there it is. So this is a big one. This is a big one. New from Bitcoin News, sponsor of the show. Big shout out to Bitcoin News. If you haven't had a chance yet to watch their thing from Monday about the institutional game theory, I would recommend that one. But it says private Texas institution, University of Austin, announces it will accept Bitcoin for tuition and create a Bitcoin long-term fund. So there's a couple things about this that I'm kind of curious about. The Bitcoin for tuition. I don't know. I think if somebody owns Bitcoin right now, this is just my opinion on it, but if somebody owns Bitcoin right now, they're probably withdrawn themselves from that system in a way. Some people just own it. They've had it for a while. It's an investment to them. But at the same time, I feel like if you're buying Bitcoin, you're not going to be going to University of Austin. So I don't know how successful I don't know how much Bitcoin they'll get for tuition. I wouldn't trade any Bitcoin for tuition ever. But the interesting thing here is the Bitcoin long-term fund. And I think that any entity, any organization, university, nonprofit, any entity right now, the best thing that they can be doing is this: creating a Bitcoin long-term fund. And I'm actually in the process myself of setting up a bit of information that I want to talk to a few local entities here about this exact same thing. Because I don't want to get too far into it because it's not really my place to do it. But anyways, very interesting, very big news. This will just continue. There'll be more University of Austins in the world who are creating a Bitcoin long-term fund. And that's kind of what the guy talked about yesterday on the Wisconsin State Pension Fund, is that they're long-term. So this isn't something that they're going to buy for a couple of years and then sell it, convert it back to other investments. This is a very long-term play. And if you think about a long-term play in Bitcoin with a scarce fixed supply, the more and more University of Austins, the more and more Wisconsin State pension funds, they're never selling that Bitcoin in our lifetime, probably, or beyond. So as these institutions and these entities keep scooping up this Bitcoin, they're never selling it, and it's going to be off the circulating supply forever. Sorry, I'm really falling behind in the chat here, but that's okay. Ninju says, I would really like you to review Plan B video. It is not long. Hope one day you can find time to see it. What's Plan B? Like pregnancy? Oh, shit. Daniel says, you're better off stacking Bitcoin and taking a loan for tuition. Yes. There we go. That's why I love the Zapdos stream. The hardcore Bitcoiners, Craig, Crypto Heathen, Daniel, they're over in Zapdos stream. They're pumping out the info. Caspa socks. Okay, next one here. An Indian flight attendant caught smuggling 1 kilogram of gold in her butt. Indian flight attendant caught smuggling 1 kilogram of gold in her rectum. That was the official news story, but in her butt. So someone needs to tell this Indian flight attendant about Bitcoin. With Bitcoin, you don't need to shove anything up your butt. All you need to do, you take a little bit of time, you memorize your 12 words, you hop on that airplane, whether you're a flight attendant, somebody traveling, or somebody fleeing your country. You memorize 12 words, you hop on the plane, you land in wherever you're going to without shoving anything up your butt. And then you get there, you restore those 12 words. Another thing, and this is probably what I would do instead of trying to memorize it, I would take a book with me. I'm going to take Zen Golf on the plane with me. And every 20th page or whatever you want to do, I would write a word. So the first word of your 12-word phrase, you're going to write it on page 20. The second word in your 12-word phrase, you're going to write it on page 40. The third word of your 12-word phrase, you're going to write it on page 60. So you're not shoving anything up your butt. You don't have to memorize it and have to worry about that stress. You should, but you don't have to. Just take a book and spread them out. Don't put them all on one page, but spread them out. Here you go. It's the best advice I've ever given on TV or on the internet, whatever this show is. The Bank of Canada, last note here for the quick bits. Bank of Canada, they issued, I think they printed $80 million in the last 4 years in bonuses. So the Bank of Canada told everybody that they weren't going to raise rates. They were going to be 0% or 1%, whatever they were, for the next couple of years. And then all of a sudden we had a record rate increase from 0% pretty much to 5% in less than a year. So that's what the Bank of Canada did. That's number one. They also said they were going to keep inflation at 2%. That's their main job. And what is it here? Probably 50% inflation. So Bank of Canada thought that they were doing real good work, that they deserved $80 million worth of bonuses that the Canadian taxpayers paid for. 80 million. For how many employees? 80. So not only did the Bank of Canada completely derail the Canadian economy, but they actually printed $80 million for themselves in bonuses for the work that they've done. And that is why this channel exists. That is why Bitcoin exists, because that is literally insane. Literally insane. And in any normal world, any normal society, people would be in big trouble for that kind of stuff. But it's just now, it's become normal. So that's why we're leaving that system. Okay, let's get to the next part of the show here, which is the ETFs. So let me share a few things here. So yesterday, BlackRock. So we heard about the Australian ETF. We heard about the Thailand ETF approved yesterday. We heard about the University of Austin accepting Bitcoin, creating a long-term Bitcoin fund. BlackRock yesterday bought 3,893 Bitcoin. Fidelity bought 5,380 Bitcoin. And keep in mind here that there are only 450 Bitcoin mined per day. So let me share this meme. And this is almost, I think, what we're going to have to start doing. The tweet says from Thomas at Hey Apollo, BlackRock bought 3,900 Bitcoin today in caps. Do you see what's happening? So this is how it feels a lot of days, doesn't it? I just don't know what it's going to take from people. I really don't. It could not be any more clear where this is headed. It couldn't be. And the game officially changed in January 2024. When institutions, when entities, when organizations, when universities could start buying Bitcoin without any sort of friction, the game officially changed. And unfortunately, the majority of people, the average person out there, I don't know what else to do and say anymore. It could not be any more obvious what's happening here. And I don't know what the solution is. I think about this more than I should probably, about how to get the smaller people into Bitcoin and keep that Bitcoin forever. But I don't know. It's frustrating to me. The good news is that every single day there are more and more people coming onto the network, more and more people buying Bitcoin. And that's good news for us. But you have to keep in mind with all these things we just talked about here, that they are never selling their Bitcoin, never. And so I want to share another picture here that I think it was AD. Where is it? That AD came up with. He sent this to the group chat yesterday in Living in the Future. So this kind of just goes to show, it says 2021 all-time high. We're ringing the bell. It's held up by FTX. It's held up by just a bunch of bullshit, essentially. That's what the 2021 all-time high was. But then 2024, the all-time high, ringing the bell as well. But this time it's a castle. It's a fortress. The floor here is so incredibly solid with all these ETFs and everybody buying Bitcoin and never selling that Bitcoin. It just feels like this is the bottom forever. And any moment now, maybe while I'm doing a show one day, we're going to see the biggest green candle in history. It just has to happen. There's no way around it. If you understand economics, if you understand supply and demand, it's coming. So hold on tight. Let me catch up on some comments here. We'll take a little bit of a breather. Yeah, Daniel says you can also create a border wallet in Sparrow, which I haven't done, so I can't really speak on that, but I've heard good things about it, and Sparrow's the best wallet out there. And Craig says, so I don't have to walk around with 5 ledgers from my body. No, you don't. You don't have to shove anything up your butt in Bitcoin. It's a main selling point. I see some really good comments here. I'm not going to show them all on the screen, but I see them. Okay, what did I miss here? Missed 666. Thank God it's going up. I think it will be 100K by December. I mean, thank God it's going up, but also at the same time, we're going to be pissed off one day when we didn't take better or more advantage of this time in history. Jose says education should basically be free. I agree with that. And that's part of what I'm saying with the tuition, with Bitcoin, with people going to university. Anything you want to learn now, pretty much anything, you can learn online for free. You just have to take action. That's it. Hey, Mighty Hawker. Good morning from Australia. Good day. Good day. No one really here talking about the new Aussie ETF. Instead, the US ETFs are talked about more. That's interesting. Kind of the same as Canada here. We've had Bitcoin ETFs for a lot of years now, and nobody ever talked about it here. The US is what makes the world go round, so I guess that makes sense. Aaron says, college is the biggest scam, just get a trade. Yep. Great advice. AC says, I'm going to start checking everybody's books on the plane next time. Well, I don't think there's enough people who watch this channel to be aware of that idea. There's not enough people who own Bitcoin. I think you'd search through about 10 planes at the airport, and you might find a couple people who own Bitcoin, and you definitely wouldn't find anybody who watches the show. Okay, so let's get to the main point here. Oh, we're only 30 minutes into this. Okay, let's take a little sip. And let's watch some videos. The first one here that I want to share, actually, no, we're going to watch this one first. It's 15 minutes long. I might put it on, I don't know. No, I'm not going to. I don't like speeding things up. 15 minutes long. The video is called Tech is Dead. And shout out to whoever shared, I think it was Nate the Great yesterday in the Living in the Future chat shared this. I watched it. This guy speaks my language. And after the post, somebody was saying that they don't really love this guy. His name's Tech Lead. Maybe he has some scammer in him. I'm not really sure. I don't know this guy's background, but focus on the words. Don't focus on the person. Focus on what he's saying. And it's very much in line with what I've been talking about on this channel for a while here. So let's strap in here. Let's watch this. It's 50 minutes long, and then we're going to talk about it afterwards and kind of what we can, the main takeaways and what we can do ourselves. And it goes back to this comment here from Aaron. So let me get this set up. And pour yourself some coffee, sit back, and relax.
All right, poor people, I'm back. That's right, here to provide you my worldly wisdom on how to become successful, make some serious money out here. And the first thing to understand is, whatever it is you're doing, just stop. Right? You may have noticed I've stopped doing anything productive. Over the past few months, I haven't released a single video because I just realized that it's just totally pointless to try to do anything nowadays when the government is inflating massive amounts of money, right? Like you're out here trying to earn your dough, and then the government is just printing billions, trillions of dollars out there, just making this money out of thin air to dilute your work. They're just extracting all of your value. So why even bother? Why try? It's a lot like being on the Titanic and then trying to study Java while the ship is sinking, or rearranging chairs, doing your lead code, and just stop. Right? Just stop. It's over. I know we all feel this need to try to be productive, work hard, hustle, grind. We're addicted to the pain, the struggle of putting in the hard work, but sometimes you mistake motion for action. And in this world of ADHD, the best thing you can do, the contrarian move, is to just do nothing. Just stop moving. Can anybody just do that? Hold still. Because the more you move, the more energy you're going to waste, and the faster you're going to die. You're wasting your own resources out here. You're going to have to pay more for food. So you may be wondering what's new. Nothing. Absolutely nothing is new around here. I've been sitting around doing nothing, just staring at the blank screen all day. Because there's no work to do, really, except to just wait. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to get to $1 million, actually, because it's my only salvation around here. It's the only thing that can save me. And
Okay, before we go any further with this, this guy is a Bitcoiner clearly, but this is not the main message that I'm trying to portray with this video. The fact that you should be just sitting around doing nothing. If you have Bitcoin, waiting around doing nothing, waiting for Bitcoin to get to $1 million. That's not the point of this video. So he's a Bitcoiner. He's talking about that. That's his strategy. He must have a lot more Bitcoin than me, but that's not my main point here.
I've recognized that fact, whereas you have not. Many people have not. And they're still out there pretending, trying to struggle, trying to do something just to keep themselves busy. You can work or not. Doesn't really matter. It's really optional. It's not going to move the needle here, though. The most important thing when you're sinking on the Titanic ship is really your positioning. You want to get to a life raft, if at all possible, because the whole ship is done. And look, I get it. I've been gone for a while. And you may be under the impression that I've just been slacking off around here with the lack of any new video content. You may think that I've just been hiking the Hawaiian Islands, going on Mexican cruises, or exploring Japan like I am now. And well, I suppose you would be right. But you would be highly mistaken to think that I'm unproductive. In fact, I've been more productive than I've ever been in my whole entire life, more productive than most programmers, certainly. What have I been doing? I have been huddling, diamond handing, which is an incredibly difficult skill because it requires me to read news, reread news, and continue to convince myself to just sit still and do nothing instead of trading, buying, selling, getting in and out of positions. Sometimes the best thing to do is to just do nothing. And yes, that is considered work as well. It's not about how hard you work, but about how smart you work. Don't be addicted to your own pain and suffering. It is not required and certainly not a prerequisite to success by any means. In fact, the path to success is often fun and easy. Have you ever noticed how everyone seems to tell you to work hard, grind harder, put in the hours, wake up early, but nobody ever tells you what to actually work on, except to maybe go to the gym and somehow this is going to make you successful? Because nobody knows what to actually do. There's nothing to do. There's no actual work for anyone to do around here. What do you want me to do? Build you a little app, some little stupid mini game, in-game monetization, microtransactions? You want me to make you a blog? And this idea of work was really a figment of the last era, but hard work never equals success. You see, I know you. I understand you, you programmer tech bros out there, disgusting know-it-all scumbags. We're the same. Actually, we're not. I'm way better. The world is now flooded with computer science degrees. Everyone's got one. I think computer science graduates have tripled within the last decade, and companies are now laying everybody off because they just don't need these useless degrees anymore. And what's really happened actually is we've moved on from the knowledge economy. Rationality, merit, science, none of these things really matter anymore in today's era. Actually, we're entering this post-science, late-stage capitalism era where mostly it's just about power. If you have power, then you get what you want, and screw the science, right? Ignore that. You can manipulate the data. By now, people have realized how to game the system in order to achieve the results that they desire. And beyond that, what's really happened is I believe we have reached peak technology, actually. We invented what is essentially digital drugs, digital opioids, which is like short form video, TikToks. And that has really obsoleted the need for any future technological innovation. People don't need any more apps or games when they've become couch potatoes. What more do digital drug addicts need? After all, they're totally content stewing in front of their videos. And these short videos and TikToks really provide people with everything. They tell them how to think, what to do, where to go, what to buy. And so what's happened is, even with something as innovative as Apple's Vision Pro VR goggles, with all of that technology, nobody even cares anymore. Because we've moved on past the knowledge economy. We are now in an attention economy where the number one skill is not STEM. Nobody cares about STEM. The number one skill is your ability to gain attention, right? To draw attention in this world. And if you're able to do that, you'll be able to succeed in the new attention economy. If you can't, if all you know is some STEM degree, right, science or something, then you're going to fail. Nobody cares about that. Science doesn't even matter. Nobody cares about the science. It's totally fabricated. Nobody believes any of the science or data or any of the research papers. Science has become a means of manipulation. Just trust the science. And yet there have even been recent reports of 11,000 peer-reviewed scientific papers being retracted as science has faced an existential crisis. More than 70% of researchers have tried and failed to reproduce another scientist's experiments. And if you want to truly understand the extent to which science is fabricated, you can check out The Real Anthony Fauci by RFK Jr. It's this book that actually claims the entire HIV industry was fabricated to fund Dr. Fauci's little political games and corporate interests in order to funnel money to his friends. What matters more in this world isn't the data, but instead is having some big influential celebrity voicing an opinion, and whatever that opinion is becomes truth. It becomes fact. And so that's why the little computer program you're working on out there, the little app or website or whatever stupid thing you're coding, is going to be totally ignored and nobody even cares. You see, what people should do is just relax and sit back like me. You could work, but you're going to get laid off one way or another. Tesla laying off another 7,000 people reportedly starting in June. What these companies do is first they hire you, and then they burn and churn. They threaten to fire you, making you work evenings and weekends, extracting maximum value, milking you for everything that you've got. And then you get fired one way or another in the end, and you lose the equity that you may have been building into that company. They just say, hey, you know what? We don't need you anymore. Sorry. Bye. Bye. And the other thing I think these tech companies have realized is that with the COVID era and all of the remote work, companies realize that not only can they do remote work, but that they can actually just outsource all workers altogether to third world countries where people are cheaper and people work harder. Americans especially can't compete. No one wants to hire Americans anymore. The American workforce is expensive, self-entitled, lazy, fat, quite literally, and they tend to be social activists. Who wants that on their team? I suppose if you're truly foolish, you could even go to college and get yourself into massive student debt, and then try to dig yourself out of that debt through decades of wage slavery in a 9-to-5 cubicle, and maybe, just maybe, you might break even or even turn a small profit before you find yourself old and withered away from a sedentary lifestyle. Maybe sick and diseased, and having your savings destroyed with runaway inflation and ultimately discarded and replaced by AI or outsourced workers as companies burn and churn through their employees. I think there's just no more opportunity in the traditional 9-to-5 world. And so that's why I've decided to just entirely stop trying to be productive. In late stage capitalism, which is where we're at now, there is no actual productivity left anymore. It's a zero-sum game, and there's only one way left for anybody to make money around here, and it is good old-fashioned classic, and this is my favorite, scamming. And so we have fees, convenience fees, tips, tips upon tips, 20% tips, 30% tips. Hey, just give more. Inventing wars. There are GoFundMes and charity donations for fake diseases like people pretending they have cancer. Dark patterns everywhere. Notice how every single iPad app is a monthly recurring subscription. There are credit card fees everywhere, speeding tickets for even going 5 miles per hour over the speed limit. They're not actually protecting the roads. They're not making anyone safer. It's just there to collect money for the government. That's what they're doing out there. Taxes going up without any apparent upgrades to any of the infrastructure. You've got hospital bill scams, insurance bill scams, HOA housing bill scams. Like with the HOA, sometimes you're paying thousands of dollars and there's no service. There's not even a yard. There's no amenities, nothing. And what is this HOA fee for? Oh yeah, right. They're scamming you. And you have to remember all of this is because we're in a stagnant economy. There's zero productivity. And whatever you're doing out there for your line of work, you just got to keep in mind it's not productive. And if you want more proof that there's just no more work to be done and we have reached a stage of zero productivity, just look at Apple, which just completed one of the largest buybacks in history where they had so much excessive cash, they didn't know what to do with the money. They couldn't find anything worth investing in, nothing worth research and development in. They didn't need to hire anybody. They just took that money and bought back their own stock. And I'll tell you what they probably should have done with that excess cash is just buy some Bitcoin with it. There was another company, some medical company, Simler Scientific, which they took their cash reserves, put into Bitcoin, their stock went up 28% right away. When we take a look at the overall tech landscape, the metaverse failed, Web3 failed. These could have been entire massive revolutionary industries that would have employed huge swaths of Americans out there. The whole industry was shut down by regulation. And so after that, we were eventually thrown back into the Web 2.0 era, a blast from the past of mobile apps, oversaturated, tired old apps. And there's just no more opportunity there. Not only are consumers tired of these apps and they're vegetating on videos already, but all of the APIs and data that these third-party apps would traditionally have relied on in order to provide services are now being shut down and blocked off for AI, right? No company wants to release their AI data anymore to anybody. And so nowadays, almost every single API is shut down and siloed off from one another to prevent the AI data scraping, thus incapacitating most third-party apps in the process. Now, some people are going to say, well, there's AI at least, right? There was a recent tweet by Meta's chief AI scientist who said, don't work on LLM. This is in the hands of large companies. There's nothing you can bring to the table. He says maybe instead you should work on some other next-gen AI system that lifts some limitation of LLMs. So I guess there's some opportunity there if you think you can bring about the next revolution of AI. Maybe get a PhD in that first. Another major headwind in tech worth mentioning has been deglobalization, where the world is starting to split into separate factions. And so, whereas in the past, tech companies had global reach, today, most tech companies have had their reach actively being blocked by other countries. Russia, China, the BRICS nations have raised their own digital firewalls. Tech companies are just not as profitable as they used to be, as they're now becoming domestic local companies. In conclusion, some eras are just bad. Sometimes you just can't make money. The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. Tech is done. The STEM degree is done. Merit is done. Where nowadays working is like swimming upstream against the inflation and printing machine. I recently read the Bitcoin standard, and what I came to realize is that when the US came off the gold standard in 1971, it was quite the devious move actually, where through that, they unlocked the full value of the US GDP and household economy for taxation purposes. So whereas in the past, all they could do was raise taxes, but your personal property would always have value. It was backed by gold. Now they could just print and inflate all of the US GDP value away. And so now we're paying off our debt by issuing more debt, with the US national debt rising by $1 trillion every 100 days in some death cycle. So given that, how do we succeed in this world? Well, first off, if you're working some 9 to 5 wage slave job, maybe you should just stop. It's a total waste of your life. But I have 3 suggestions. Number 1 is entrepreneurship. Now, of course, you're going to say, well, not everyone can be an entrepreneur. We weren't all made to be one. But you know what? People said the same thing about programmers as well. Hey, not everyone can be a programmer. And yet nowadays, everyone's a programmer. We just adapted to that. And so in the future, everyone may have to become an entrepreneur as well. And, we're not talking about some like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos caliber entrepreneur, but even small business owners, hustlers, grifters, blue-collar workers like gardeners, handymen, dog walkers, they all qualify as entrepreneurs actually, and many of them make more than some software engineer, especially the laid-off ones. And they're probably under less stress and have more free time as well. Now, this may be difficult, especially for those who have spent the majority of their childhood trained to be some 9 to 5 wage slave indoctrinated into the school education system. And even more weirdly, many of these people, perhaps including you yourself, still aspire to be some top-tier wage slave, climbing that corporate ladder in order to achieve some fancy title or that corner office, wear that suit. But you've just got to give that dream up if you want to succeed in the new world. The second consideration is we're no longer in a knowledge economy or anything science-based. We are in an attention economy, media-based. Most apps these days have already been replaced by influencers, content, video. And I'll tell you something, AI is not going to succeed as well, in my opinion, in the world of influencers, because fundamentally there's no right or wrong answer. We don't live in an objective world. And so the right answer is whatever your favorite influencer or content creator tells you is the right answer. Whatever they tell you to buy, how to live, how to think, that is what you will listen to. You're not going to listen to ChatGPT. I mean, when you think about it, nobody even pays for ChatGPT Premium. They're starting to give that stuff out for free. And then the last suggestion, consider taking up a job as a Bitcoiner. Hey, it's not easy, and it's not for everyone to diamond hand and hodl all day long. It can be pretty tiring and tough, boring work. But it turns out, the more you study Bitcoin, the more serious you become at it, the more you're willing to hold, and the higher your profits will be too, or your losses. All right, anyways, I gotta get back to work. Got some more hodling to do. See you in the next one.
Quite the video. Lots of good comments here about that. I like this one too. I love that he's hilarious without even trying. I had a lot of good laughs there from that video. A lot of truth there, I think, worth watching a couple times. He said a couple things that really stood out to me. The first one was that we are moving away from a knowledge economy. We're moving away from going to school, getting a degree, working a 9 to 5 job. That's over. And I think that people are going to have a very hard time coming to that reality, but it's already here. He said we're moving into an attention economy. And I think the best way to think about that is that whatever you do in life, whatever you do, you should be finding a way to get it in front of more eyes. Whatever that is. If you're a really good gardener, if you're a really good, even he said dog walking, even that. Or if you have some skills that you've acquired through the years and some experience, you should be doing everything that you can to be sharing that with people and trying to get as many eyes on you as possible. I talked about the resume, the days of the resume being over. Whenever somebody's looking to hire you or work with you or collaborate with you on anything, they're not going to ask you to send them a resume anymore. The 9-to-5 jobs still probably are, but the people who are living in this new world here, we're not asking for resumes. We're going to Google you. We're going to look at maybe your YouTube page, your zap.stream channel, your nostr feed, whatever that is. That's how people are going to start finding each other. It's not going to be through resumes anymore. Imagine a resume is just like so two-dimensional or worse. But if you actually want to get to know somebody, what they're about, the best thing that you can do is Google them. So with that in mind, what you should be doing if you want to be succeeding in this new economy is really paying attention to your online reputation for Bitcoin, for employment, for opportunities, for everything like that. You should be positioning yourself today for that to happen, because it's coming. It's already here, but there's going to be a major lag between how that whole system just continues to dissolve. Anyways, I also want to give a big shout out to our buddy Dan here. First time tuning in to the live show, our buddy Dan from Ireland. So it's got to be probably, 6 p.m. there in Ireland, at least. So I wanted to give a quick shout out to Dan. I really enjoy chatting with Dan. And he made it to his first live show today. Attention economy, exactly. That's the kind of the key point here that I want to get across. So let's take a look at another video here quickly. This one's from Rudy. This was on Marty's show the other day, TFTC. It's called Delegation and Time Hacking. He talks about entrepreneurship and what we can be doing. I guess before we do that, I'll just say that with the video we just watched, the point of it wasn't to do nothing. The point of it wasn't to take whatever Bitcoin you have today and just stop being productive. I think that that's the most anti-Bitcoin thing you could come up with. What you should be doing, though, is if you are somebody who works in a 9-to-5 job, you're still in that system, you should be taking every step that you can to get out of that system and start your own thing as an entrepreneur, adding value. And I think that I'll maybe talk about it after this video, but I kind of have like a mental model in terms of what it looks like to me in terms of success in this new economy for the next 10 years, I would say. So we're going to watch this video and then I'll kind of share my take on it. So this is Rod. I believe he's the founder of Bitcoin Park in Nashville. This is a really good interview, actually, but I want to watch a couple minutes here of what he's talking about in terms of entrepreneurship and the new economy. If it works.
That's
there we go.
It's important stuff. Low time preference, focusing on the good things. What are you most excited about in Bitcoin right now in terms of like areas that people should be focusing on that maybe they're overlooking?
That point around Drew, were we talking about like these small businesses and even large businesses? Like one other publicly traded company came out and said they're holding a boatload of Bitcoin on there, or they bought a bunch of Bitcoin and now holding on as a treasury asset. The benefit there, it gives the air coverage and also more marketing to small businesses. Like you could be the small business owner and you may have a position in one of these companies. Like, wait a minute, you're holding Bitcoin? Let me go research that now. Oh, maybe I should go do that as well for my small business. So that's kind of cool. I'm enamored by entrepreneurship. I think it's one of the coolest people I've associated myself with and learned from are entrepreneurs, and be able to say no to very quote unquote stable jobs and stable money and a cush life to say, I'm going to throw all that out and go roll the dice to go and create something net new that's, I think valuable for the community and society, and I'll get paid for it. I think that's just so awesome. And I think there's so many opportunities for Bitcoin focused people to become entrepreneurs. So, and I think there'll be some things in 2025 at the park that we'll be, doing to support those efforts, which could be massive.
Oh yeah. What would your advice be to aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
Start like today. Today is tomorrow. Literally, you got this. Today is tomorrow. You can do this. Do the side hustle. Work the weekends. Figure out. You have the time. So like, you are waking up 5:30, 6:30 with the kids waking up, right? So let's say you're like Marty, you have 2 kids and so on. But Marty's already got 5 businesses running. So he's earned the right to figure out his own schedule. You need to create more time and more leverage of your time for you. So start waking up at 4:30 and before the kids get up. Give yourself the 2 hours between 4:30 and 6:30 and sacrifice that time such that you can go and, do X, Y, or Z. And even 1 hour a day, 5 days a week, that's 20 hours a month. It's almost a full day dedicated towards this entrepreneurial endeavor. And one of the big things, don't quit your day job, but just create the time to do this. And then figure out how to be cash flow positive from like day 0. And then all of a sudden cash flow is the most amazing drug, in the sense that once you see the cash flow coming in, you're like, holy shit. Well, if I turn this knob a little bit, or I do this, there's more of this comes out. Oh, this is really interesting. Wait a minute. I really enjoy, by the way, the stuff that I'm doing right now gives me a lot of energy. I'm really excited now to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to do this project. So if all that starts happening, then all of a sudden you have leverage over your current employer. Maybe you still enjoy it and you should still do it. But let's say you don't like to do the TPS reports. Maybe you don't like to get on the planes, and fly wherever you need to go to because someone's telling you need to do that or whatever. And now all of a sudden you just create a leverage for yourself and your family. And, but it starts with you at the end of the day. You need to make time. But the TLDR is, you can do this. Start today.
Yeah. Side hustles. That's how all this started.
Yeah, that's right.
And just say, I'm unemployed. It wasn't really a side hustle. It was a main hustle.
Okay, I think that's enough of that video. We've watched enough videos for today. There's lots of good info there. So if you do have some time today, make sure you check that episode out with Rod from Bitcoin Park on TFTC. Really good stuff in that interview. But even he said there, this is kind of the more realistic take, I think, than the tech is dead guy there. I don't think we should stop doing things. I don't think we should stop working. I think that Earl Nightingale's main thing is that the rewards you receive in life are in direct proportion to the value that you give to others. So if you're sitting around doing nothing, you don't expect anything to come your way. And I think that even if you had a bunch of Bitcoin and that was kind of your thing just to wait it out, I think you'd have a very unfulfilling life. Even if you're traveling like that guy was doing, traveling by yourself, seeing different things in the world, as cool as that is, I don't think that should be the goal for anybody. I mean, if that's your thing, then that's your thing. But at the same time, I don't think that's not what you want to be doing. So something to keep in mind there is that, here, let me just fund this Zap.stream because it's going to shut me off right away, I think. Where are we here? Stream. As much as I love Zap.stream, it's kind of shitty that it keeps running out of sats on me. But I mean, that's part of it. Part of this whole thing is that we actually need to be using these tools. So end of the day, and kind of what I want to leave everybody with today is that you should be thinking about this. Just start thinking about it. And as he said, the best time to be doing it is today. Don't wait, because the longer you wait, the further behind that you're going to get in this whole grand scheme of the new economy. Just be fortunate enough that you're here. You've recognized the fact that the 9-to-5 modern slavery, what a lot of people refer to it as, you're never going to get ahead. You're never going to get ahead. And depending on where you are in life right now, if you're somebody who's younger, you should be taking as much risk as possible right now, because it's a zero-sum game. You're swimming upstream. You can work as hard as you want to for as long as you want to. You're never going to keep up with the inflation at this point. We're in a debt spiral. They're printing money. They're adding debt. Everything's so expensive. You're never going to get ahead, ever. If you're somebody who's a little bit older and you're close to retirement, maybe just play it out. Start doing some things you enjoy, though. And maybe once you retire from your fiat job, you can just slowly transition into whatever you're doing right now, whatever you enjoy doing. But I think that that's the main thing here, is that kind of my thinking on this is kind of what I want to get to in life, is that for these next 10 years, and I have no idea what the world's going to look like outside of that. I think that we're still in the transition phase here from that economy into the attention economy, as he calls it. But during that, you still have to have enough money to pay for your rent, pay for your mortgage, pay for your food. And I think that you can start doing that. So this is kind of what I would do. If I was somebody with a 9-to-5 job right now, this is what I would be doing. I would continue working, continue paying the bills. I would start mornings and nights. And I did this with King Golf when I was still working as a CPA. I was doing it in the morning. I'd wake up, I would do it at night. And I was slowly building this business while I was still going to work every day. So that's what I would do. And I would figure out what you like doing. I would start spending an hour or two per day working on it. And you'd be amazed after 5 years, if you spend an hour or two every single day working on whatever you think you should be working on, how far you're going to get with that. So keep your fiat job, continue paying for the bills, but also have some drive and some foresight here that this is coming. So you want to get ahead of this. So start working in the mornings, at night, on the weekends. Start doing something. It could be anything. It could be cutting grass if you don't feel like doing anything online. It could be walking dogs. It could be painting houses. It could be pressure washing houses, whatever that is. But the main thing there is that you don't want to take too much risk in terms of financially. You don't want to get into a whole bunch of debt by taking on this new initiative. Just start doing things and earning cash, become cash flow positive, and try to earn as many of those different avenues as possible. And then over time, in the next 5 or 10 years, you quit your job, you start doing your full-time thing. And with that, the one thing you can be doing with your side hustle in the mornings and at night is using that to buy Bitcoin. He talked about leverage there, leveraging your time, leveraging your energy, but you also need to be leveraging where we are right now in terms of the Bitcoin. Get as much Bitcoin as you can right now. Use that side hustle, pay your bills with your fiat job, use your side hustle to buy Bitcoin, and literally hold on to that, because you're going to use it as future leverage to get more fiat, to hire people, to utilize AI. But the one thing that you're going to need for that is Bitcoin. Your fiat's not going to be worth shit. Just continue paying for the things that you need to. Keep your house. Don't go into bankruptcy. I mean, not the worst thing in the world if you happen to go into bankruptcy. It's like starting from zero. Lots of people do it. Don't advise it here. But that's what I would say on that. Just keep that up in terms of your fiat job and your side hustle. And I think that that's the one thing that you can be doing, is just getting as much Bitcoin as possible. So the one where I want to leave it here today is because it's very easy to just hear things like this, watch a video, get inspired for a day. But I want you to start creating some habits in your life. So the one thing I found today, and I was actually going to show this at the start of the show, but it's called the rule of 100. And this is where we're going to end things today. The rule of 100 is that if you spend 100 hours per year in any discipline, which is only 18 minutes per day, you'll be better than 95% of the world in that discipline. Consistency is everything. So apply that rule to this in terms of your side hustle. 18 minutes a day, I think that's more than doable. I would look into doing 1 or 2 hours per day and getting that much further ahead of everybody, because we're here now. This is the greatest opportunity, I think, in probably human history, honestly. And I think that if you're sleeping on this is the time to be doing as much as you can. Not with the end vision of becoming a rich person in fiat, going to 9 to 5, climbing the corporate ladder, but doing as much work, adding as much value as you can, and accumulating as much Bitcoin as you can at this stage. So spending 100 hours a year, I would say much more than that, but you're going to be better than 95% of the rest of the world in whatever you decide to do. So use that rule of 100. It applies to many different things, but I like that one. The other rule of 100 that I kind of was thinking about is if you're somebody out there who's trying to get to one whole Bitcoin, if that's your goal, and I think that is probably the goal of a lot of people here watching the show, think about it in terms of 1 million sats times 100. That's it. Don't get too overwhelmed with it. Just break it down into that. Very simply, all you need is 100 million sat wallets and you have one Bitcoin, and start making your way to that. If you have to do a job for a couple weekends and you earn a couple $1,000, that's 2 million sats. And think about it as just trying to get to 100 of those. And then you're going to have one full Bitcoin. Don't try to do it in a year. Don't try to do it in a couple years. Think in 4 or 5 years here, and just set your path on that. Set your direction there. Be consistent, and it's going to pay off in the long run. And actually, I forgot to hold on here. What happened? I forgot to mention Craig's comment from Zap.stream here. And this is in regards to the tech is dead video. Craig said, I would modify his message to, it's more important to work smart, reduce expenses that you can invest with the goal of living passive income. Work in the space you enjoy, where you can add value, and believe that you're making a difference. Correct. And even with your fiat job, you don't have to do it. I mean, I think the thing that you should be working towards is getting out of that job, making enough fiat to live off of, but really, as Craig said, they're really reducing your expenses. I think a lot of people who work those fiat jobs, they have some extra cash in the bank and they just go blow it on dumb shit. So get into a different mindset of, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work for what I need. I'm going to earn Bitcoin in the background, and I'm going to slowly transition myself out of this job and be ready for this new economy that's coming here. So that I know that there's a lot to think about in terms of that, the video we watched, in terms of the whole message about today. So take some time, just let it sink in and just start doing. You can change your path in 2 or 3 months from now, but get into the habit of doing this, not thinking about it or planning or worrying about it, but just get into the habit of doing. Dan says, thanks for the shout out. It's 3 p.m. in Ireland. Okay, well, I was a little bit off there. Rock and roll. Good to see you, man. Another great show. No second best. Reminder, Bitcoiners do not shitcoin. It's really bad for you. And stuff Bud does. I love all the names. Chico in the van. Stuff Bud does. I'd echo that. I learned a long time ago that reducing outgo is far more efficient than increasing income, although you should still do both. Yes. The main message here is get enough fiat to live off of. That's it. Work as hard as you can, do as much as you can, build as much as you can in Bitcoin. And even if you're doing things, side jobs in fiat, convert that fiat to Bitcoin instantly. And you're going to set yourself up perfectly for the future. Do not sit around and wait for Bitcoin to go up. Get into action, take some action, and really set yourself up for what's coming here, because the world has officially changed. The game has officially changed, and you need to be ready for that. So with that, that's it for today. Good to see some friendly faces in the chat. Shout out to Dan in Ireland for tuning in for the first live show. He's been a big supporter of this channel. Every time I'm feeling down, I can always count on Dan for a nice positive boost for me. So with that, we're going to end the show today. I'm going to jump over to the golf show. So if you're a golfer out there, we do a show a couple times a week called Touch Grass, exclusively on Zap.stream. So I'm going to be starting that up in about 5 minutes. But outside of that, I appreciate the zaps this morning from Daniel and Craig. I appreciate everybody showing up in here. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about Nostr, I think. I think that's the plan. There's been a lot of people from this community who have joined Nostr, so I'm going to be talking about it, some opportunities, some how-to, some tips, and I think we're going to do that tomorrow. So if you have a chance today, the one thing I would say, if you have a chance today, is just download either the Damus app or the Primal app from the App Store. Create yourself an account, a public and private key pair, and sniff around a little bit. And then when you're watching the show tomorrow, you're going to be a little bit more well-versed and you're going to understand what I'm talking about. So go to the App Store, Damus, D-A-M-U-S, download the app, set up an account. In the description below here, you can find my end. Don't know what happened there. Anyways, that's it. Shout out to everybody for being here. I appreciate you very much. And we'll see you over in Touch Grass, the golf show, a golfer's journey. And if not, we'll see you right back here first thing tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.